What's up, you guys? I love these Fierce rifles. So I have had a few different Fierce rifles. This is the CT Rival, and this one is the Fierce Mountain Reaper. Fierce does an awesome job with their guns looking good. They definitely hit the styling out of the park every time. And they shoot great. They're very, very functional, great company. There is one area where we think we can improve what they do. So Fierce uses premium recoil pads on their guns. It's a premium gun. They use the Limb Saver recoil pads, I think, on everything that they have. Everything that I've seen, they're using Limb Saver recoil pads on there. They're a lot better than what we've seen from a lot of the factory options. And so we love seeing that they're using a good pad on there. You know, we've done a lot of testing with our sensors on recoil of different recoil pads, and the Limb Saver is not a bad option. It is adding a good bit of weight. We can cut some weight from a Limb Saver going to a better option, a different option. I don't know what else to say. I'm just going to tell you, I love it. So we created the Backstop Recoil Pad. I'm not going to try to be coy here. We spent many months creating the Backstop Recoil Pad. We went through well over 200 different prototypes, testing and tweaking every single little part of it. You don't want to hear me gushing about it, and so let's just go straight out into the field. You did some testing with the factory, the option from the factory, what pads on these Fierce rifles compared to the Backstop. Tell me about it.
So if you look at this graph here, this is using the standard Limb Saver pad, and you can see it kind of spikes up really fast and then kind of plateaus a little bit and then drops right back down. And so it absorbs the recoil in the middle, but you know, it's that initial spike that really hurts your shoulder. It's like somebody jabbing you really hard.
Yeah, your shoulder. And the other thing that I think is key to me is view through the scope. I want to be able to spot my impact. And if you get that big jostle, that's where you lose the impact.
Yeah. So, and then if we transition over to the Backstop pad, you can see it's a much smoother incline. It doesn't spike up like the Limb Saver did. And so that's going to help, like Jim said, with your view through the scope. And it's not going to hurt your shoulder as much. It's kind of somebody slowly pushing into your shoulder rather than a sharp jab.
Yeah, so you're going to get a better view through your scope, so you're able to spot your impact, and you don't have to be that guy. It's like, did I get him? After you shoot the deer. Like, you want to be able to see what's happening, and that's the whole point here. Plus, the shoulder comfort is, I feel it is a nice byproduct. Really, I'm all about the view in the scope. That's why it matters to me at all. So, I mean, that's objective. That's not changing anything. That's not like looking for our best graph.
Oh, yeah.
That's just, those are the numbers. Two shots looking at the graph. And that's x-axis is time and y-axis is pressure, if it made any sense looking at those. Yep. So how do we do that, Peyton? I mean, you look at the Limb Saver. Again, this is a good pad. The way that they're doing it is they're just using a gummy material. It's just like you got a whole bunch of, what are those like gummy worms? It feels like a whole bunch of gummy worms melted in here into rubber. But what happens is, as you press down, you feel pressure, and then it's like, we get like maybe, I don't know, 3 millimeters down, and then the pressure is spiked. You can see I'm white knuckled there, pushing into it. And so I think that's why we see that spike. It's very additive.
Yes.
There's not much crushing happening in the material. There's just a very gummy material that kind of slops out at the bottom a little bit. Again, it's a good design, much better than most factory options. How does the Backstop work?
So we have tons and tons of air pockets. So we actually use two different lattice structures. This top one right here, you can't see inside of it, but we use what's called a gyroid structure. And it's thousands of little air pockets so that it can absorb the initial recoil of the gun. And so it crushes, and you know, it actually has somewhere for it to go because of the air pockets. And then the second layer, we call it the crush zone, and that's meant to crush at the point of most impact.
So that's taking the peak off, and this is giving us that smooth transition upward.
Yes.
Now, one of the reasons that we're able to do what we're doing, and you know, making a graph like that, get that kind of an awesome recoil signature out of a rifle, is because we're customizing the pad to the gun. And in fairness, other companies aren't doing that because, you know, they have a different goal. You know, they're doing something for the masses. They're wanting to do it inexpensive and simple, right? That's not our goal. Our goal is to make the best recoil pad for your gun.
Yes.
No compromises. And so what we'll do is when you order a Backstop recoil pad, we're going to say, you know, what gun are you shooting? You know, about how much does this weigh? What cartridge do you shoot? Because a 6.5 Creedmoor recoil is way different than a 300 drum, right? And, you know, are you using a muzzle brake, a silencer, or nothing on there? We're going to make a recoil calculation, see what recoil level how many foot-pounds of energy your gun is producing. And then we have different Backstop recoil pads customized to different amounts of recoil, and we're going to match you up to the one that works the best for you. It's going to be super soft and squishy in a 6.5 Creedmoor or 243, and it's going to be a lot more dense if we're shooting a 300 Win Mag, a 300 PRC, etc.
Yeah.
And so that's how we're getting those kind of results. Now, one other factor that I think is pretty cool, and it's part of our of the things that we've patented in our design, is this. This is called the throne. What this does is it protects your pad. Every recoil pad out there either compromises their design by making it hard so that it won't deform when you're storing your gun long term. So, you know, you get a gun, you've been storing it for a while, and you can see the line where it's deformed there, that gun's been resting on that spot for too long. Now, that's going to be oh, look at this one. See that big nasty crease? I don't know if you can see well in the video. Can you see that nasty crease in there from where it's been stored on the rack? It's one of two. You either get a recoil pad that's going to deform and break when it's stored long term, or what companies usually do is they just design a pad that's just hard as a freaking rock, not really doing anything. It's really just there for looks. Like, you can't push that at all. It's just hard as a rock. And they do that so it doesn't create a customer service problem. It's one or the other. And that's why we created the throne, is we wanted to have a no compromise pad. And then, you know, it's not fragile. We've stabbed them with forks and left them outside for 3 months to see if, you know, they're going to lose any color, everything like that. But if you leave any recoil pad with a, you know, 15-pound weight, a gun, you know, stored on its butt for that long, it's going to deform. And so we created the throne, slide it on, seal it up, and then you store it. Only use that if you're going to store it for more than a week. You know, you're done with your gun for the season, something like that. If you want to leave it overnight, you know, leaned up against the wall in the cabin, you're just good.
Oh yeah.
That's the Backstop recoil pad. We're really excited about it. It's not for everybody. It is, you know, it's the kind of no compromises design. There are a lot of other recoil pads that are going to be just fine. But if you want to completely overhaul the recoil signature of your gun and see better through the scope, check out the Backstop recoil pad. We love it. Thanks for checking it out. See you in the next video.